experience as a young person and being in college and all of that. Give her a great big God bless you. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. And before I say anything, Apostle, I just want to honor you. You know, I know that I would not even be here right now if it wasn't for your prayers, if it wasn't for your life and your ministry. I know my life has been preserved through this ministry. I'm so grateful. But yeah, so a few years ago, I was attending Liberty University. It was started by Jerry Falwell. It's actually considered the world's largest Christian university. And I was going there really not for myself, to be honest. I was going there to please my parents. You know, they wanted me to just do the American dream. You know, you graduate, you go off to college, you get married, you start a family, you know, and I didn't really know what I wanted. I didn't know what I was called to do. So I went. And I was in my sophomore year, and I had gotten connected to a pretty large friends group. We were involved in churches, you know, through this university, that the vision was really to, you know, equip us and train us and send us out to other nations. And that was just the focus. You know, my friends were all involved in, you know, the Heidi Baker training school, you know, the Lou Engle move, the call, you know, like the Bethel movement and all that, you know. And I loved that, you know, but I just started to feel a little left out, because every time we would get together, all my friends would talk about, you know, which nation they feel called to go to. They want to go to Asia or Germany or Africa, you know, and I really started thinking I was missing God, because I didn't have that vision. I didn't have that call in my heart. And so right around that time, Apostle, you came in with Miracles in America to Virginia, thank God. And I was so excited. I had just heard about the ministry. I had just started reading the face-to-face book, and I didn't tell anyone. I just went by myself. And honestly, you know,
There was a meeting,
yes.
A crusade in...
Yes, sir. There was a Miracles in America crusade. You came into Virginia to do 3 services. It was a healing crusade. And it changed my life, because I had grown up in a small town. I had never been told that miracles were possible. I didn't even know that healings were possible. It was all new to me. And, you know, sitting under you for those 3 nights, I saw people get healed. I saw people get out of their wheelchairs. There was a witch in the service. And
I remember that. That was a witch. That's right. She was a real witch. And yes. God told me she was in the room. Yeah, she was a real one, not no fake. You know, the saints always saying, oh, that woman over there is a witch, and her hair is just purple. That's all. She's just weird. She's not a real witch. Don't have real power. But that was a real witch, and usually witches don't come to my service. But when I was in that mood, in the Spirit of God, God revealed to me there was a witch in the room. And I think He even gave me her name, and I pointed her out and whatever. I remember that she got set free. Isn't that amazing? And she had said when she came there that if she was coming in there to prove God, and if God wasn't real, she was going back to continuing her witchcraft and her child sacrifices and all that stuff they do out in the woods. And she says, if He calls me out, then I'll know. And God had me call her out. Isn't that amazing? I mean, Bishop, and the Lord just said, there's a witch in here. And I don't ever hear that. He says, there's a witch. Then He told me her name and where she was sitting. And I remember that whole deliverance. That was a powerful service in Virginia. And Virginia, we're coming back. We're coming back. Go ahead. But you tell them. Let me quit telling them.
It's okay. Thank you, sir. Yeah, she had an incredible testimony. I think she even said that Jesus had appeared to her that night after service. And so she came back to the next service, and she was changed. I remember she said, I'm throwing out all my books, all my witchcraft. I'm throwing out everything. I am delivered. So, I mean, that was amazing to me, because I had never even seen anything like this before. You know, and going to the world's largest Christian university, you know, unfortunately, that's not taught there. You know, you're just sitting in classes all day learning about stories from the Bible, being told it can't happen today. No, but study it. So what is the purpose? I was confused. But anyway, so these services with Apostle changed my life. They changed my perspective. And then the third night, the third service that you had, sir, you started talking about prophecy to America. And you explained how Jesus had appeared to you and how He had told you about 9/11, and you had, you know, you tried to stop that. You tried to warn people, and people were not listening at the time. And you gave the whole vision for that. and about also just what's going to come to this nation, if we do not repent. And I was so convicted and conflicted. I went back to my college and I had no idea what to do. I just immediately felt like I wanted to be a part of this ministry and this move of God of face to face. And I knew people probably wouldn't understand it, but it just never left my heart from that moment forward. And so I went back into my friends group and everything, and even though this was strong on my heart, being back around them, hearing all these, amazing dreams that they have for other nations, I still kept thinking, okay, I must be missing God, and then I'll never forget one night, I was feeling really down, and I prayed, and I said, God, I feel like my heart is so on fire to be a part of what Apostle Taylor is doing, but, am I missing you? What nation am I called to? Would you show me? And then that night, I had a dream. And in the dream, I must have been up in the sky because I was looking down and I saw the United States. It was spread out like a map. I saw California, all the way over to the East Coast. And looking at this, I thought to myself, well, I'm from Pennsylvania, so I'm going to see where my state is. And as I zoomed in, as I looked there, actually, like, the map zoomed in on New York and New York City. And as I continued watching, I saw the whole state of New York, and this massive body of water just flooded across, the whole dream. It flooded across the state of New York. And then as I continued watching, I saw Lady Liberty, or the Statue of Liberty, and she was standing. She kind of emerged from the water, and she was standing, erect. She was holding her candlestick, and she was so large in the dream that the water, which was a huge flood, it was kind of going past her knees. And so in the dream, the next thing I saw were these ships that just appeared out of nowhere, but they were coming from the left side.
Now you all got to hear this. I want all of you that are listening all over the world, you got to hear this testimony and this dream, because I believe this is prophetic of what God is saying to people all over the world. I believe he's speaking this to the Heidi Baker group, the Lou Engle group, Bethel, Mike Bickle, Bill Johnson. All of you need to hear this. This is a revelation of what God is saying now in the now move of God. So I want you to finish. So she's having a dream and the Statue of Liberty is there. Go ahead.
Yes,
Tell
sir.
them in the camera. I want you to look at them and talk to them.
Yes, sir. So I was looking at the Statue of Liberty, and in the dream I saw these large ships. They appeared and they were in the body of water, and they were going through this water, and I had a knowing, I just had a knowledge somehow that these ships were missionary ships. They were missionaries, just like my friends at school, and they were full. These ships were full of missionaries, and they were going to be sailing out of this body of water towards the Atlantic, and they would be taking the gospel to other nations, and these were American people. And so actually I got really excited in the dream. I thought, oh my word, God is actually going to show me which nation I'm called to. I was so excited. But then as I kept watching, I noticed that suddenly Lady Liberty, or the Statue of Liberty, her expression, she was alive. Her upper torso was moving, watching these ships go past her. Her eyes were watching them. She was alive. And suddenly this one ship sailed kind of close to where she was, and she was just bent over, watching them sail off into the Atlantic. And I heard her speak to this one ship that got close to her. And she said, "Where are you going?" And I noticed that her expression was not happy. In fact, she looked really upset. In fact, each ship that sailed past her, she became more distraught. And I began to get a really bad feeling that something, was taking place. And so I watched, and just, dozens of ships sailed past her. And again, she cried out a little louder this time to another one, and she said, "Where are you going?" And then the scene changed in the dream, and all I could see, Lady Liberty was looking out, and you could just see like the body of these missionary ships on the horizon, all sailing out to other nations, taking the gospel to other nations. And she cried out in a loud voice, and she said, "You need to come back." And then she repeated it as she looked down. She said, "You need to come back here." And so that was the dream. I woke up out of the dream, and I was really alarmed. I understood, that the dream was a warning. And I had even shared it with some of my friends, and they were like, wow, this is really serious. What is coming to this nation? Why would she be calling missionaries back in to America? And I know even when I had shared it with Apostle and the leaders here, they said, yes, this is a warning dream. But, Apostle, I just want to say that, while this dream was amazing and it spoke to me and it confirmed that I am called to this nation, like Apostle said, missionaries to America, it's not a normal thing, but it's happening because it's needed, because of what this nation has turned into, what has become of us.
Yes, and I want to say this. God is speaking in this dream that we are sending missionaries to Africa, to all these different nations, but it's America's time to be evangelized.